शलाकाया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितां तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृष्णभानु सुत देवे प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we were discussing the 16th chapter, and I believe Mataji completed verse 16.18 on Friday, and we are supposed to start from 16.19. So today we'll cover maybe a 16.19, 20, and 21. We'll see how much time we have. So before we go into 16.19, I just wanted to quickly mention verse 16.18 is a significant verse, and Mataji gave an amazing class on Friday. But just so that we have a little context about what we have been discussing. So 16.18, Krishna said, Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham cha samshritaha mam atma paradeheshu pradavshinto abhyasyukaha. He says basically ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham cha samshritaha. Samshritaha means they take shelter of these qualities, ahankar, bal, darpa. Now darp had come earlier also when Krishna actually started describing the demonic qualities, dambha darpa abhimanascha. That is how it had come. So darpa had come earlier also, and kama krodha had also come earlier. So becomes greed. Am I audible?
You went out for a little while.
Yeah, actually, I'm getting a message. It says your internet connection is unstable. Okay, I'll see if it happens again. I'll probably make some arrangement. Okay, and then for the first time in the Gita, Krishna describes his relationship with such demoniac people. Mam atma paradeheshu pradvishanto. He says these people, they are envious of me. These demoniac people, they are envious of me. This is first time he is talking about how these people like to relate with Krishna. They relate out of envy with Krishna. Okay. So now Krishna will speak one more verse about the concluding qualities of these demoniac people in 16.19, and then Krishna will talk about their destination. Where do these people go ultimately? Okay. So let's discuss 16.19. I'm going to share my screen in a minute. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, all right. Let's recite this verse. You can repeat after me. Tanaham dvishtaha kruran
Tanahan Vishwapang Kuratang
samsareshu naradhaman
Samsareshu
Samsar
Narakaman
क्षिपाम में अजस्रम अशुभान
Shri Prashme
Shipam
Ajasram Ashubham
आसुरिस एव योनिषु
Ashureshu Eva
Eva
Inishu
Tanaham dvishtah kruran.
Tan aham adishtaha kruran.
Samsareshu naradhaman.
Shangshareshu naradhaman.
Kshipamya ajasram ashubhan.
Vipashame
Upam
ajasram ashubhan.
Subha
Asurish eva yonishu.
Ashureshu
As
eva
Eva
enishu.
Tanaham dvishtah kruran.
तानहं
Ana
Anavishtaha
Pura
kruran.
Samsareshu naradhaman.
Shamsareshu
Samsara
naradhaman.
Kshipamya asaram ashubhan.
Kripame asharam ashubhan.
Asurish eva yonishu.
Ashureshu eva
Asur
yanishu.
Anyone else would like to recite the verse?
Tanaham Duktaha Kruran
Tanaham
Tamaham
dvishtah
adishtaha
kruran.
kruran.
Samsareshu Naradhaman
Samsareshu
Samsareshu
naradhaman.
naradhaman.
Shipami Ajasram Ashubhan
Kshipamya
Shipashme
ajasram
ajasram
ashubhan.
ashubham.
Asurisva Eva Yonishu
Ashureshu
Asurish
eva
eva
yanishu.
yonishu.
Tan aham avesteva kruran.
Tanaham dvishtah kruran.
Samsareshu naradhaman.
Samsareshu naradhaman.
Kripasheme ajasram ashubhan.
Kshipamya ajasram ashubhan.
Ash Ashurevi eva yanishu.
Asurish eva yonishu. Anyone else would like to recite?
तानहं दिवष्ट क्रूरान्
Tanaham
Tanaham
dvishtah
avesteva
kruran.
kruran.
संसारेषु नराधमान्
Samsareshu
Samsareshu
naradhaman.
naradhaman.
क्षिपामि अजस्रम् अशुभान्
Kshipamya
Shipashme
ajasram
ajasram
ashubhan.
ashubhan.
अशुरिष्व एव योनिषु
Ashureshu
Asurishva eva
eva
yonishu.
yanishu.
Anyone else? Okay, let's recite the synonyms then. Tan,
Tan,
those.
those.
Aham,
Aham,
अहम्
I.
I.
I
Dvishtah,
Drishtvaha,
दृष्टः
envious.
envious.
envy
Kruran,
Kruran,
Pura
mischievous.
mischievous.
mischief
Samsareshu,
Samsareshu,
into the ocean of material existence.
into the ocean of
Into
material existence.
Naradhaman,
Naradhaman,
the lowest of mankind.
the lowest of
the lowest of
mankind.
Shipami,
Shipami,
Shipami
I put.
I put.
I
I
put
put
Ajasram,
Ajasram,
Ajasram
forever.
forever.
forever
Ashubhan,
Ashubhan,
inauspicious.
inauspicious.
Asurishu,
Ashurishu,
demoniac.
demoniac.
Eva,
Eva,
Eva
certainly.
certainly.
Yonishu,
Yonishu,
Yoni
into the wombs.
into the womb.
into the
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly indicated that the placing of a particular individual's soul in a particular body is the prerogative of the supreme will. The demoniac person may not agree to accept the supremacy of the Lord, and it is a fact that he may act according to his own whims. But his next birth will depend upon the decision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and not on himself. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, it is stated that an individual's soul after his death is put into the womb of a mother where he gets a particular type of body under the supervision of superior power. Therefore, in the material existence, we find so many species of life, animals, insects, men, and so on. All are arranged by the superior power. They are not accidental. As for the demoniac, it is clearly said here that they are perpetually put into the wombs of demons, and thus they continue to be envious. The lowest of mankind, such demoniac species of men are held to be always full of lust, always violent and hateful, and always unclean. The many kinds of hunters in the jungle are considered to belong to the demoniac species of life. So again, I'll read the translation one more time. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So here there is a slight hint of eternal damnation that is coming into the Bhagavad Gita. We know there are certain religions which say that this is the only life, and depending on how you live, whether you surrender to a particular personality, and they have their own creations. I would say, I mean, they have their own reservations about whom to surrender, and this is the only way, they say. And if you don't do this, then either you are going to go to hell eternally, or you are going to go to the kingdom of God eternally. So there is that eternal concept which are there in certain Abrahamic religions, as to say they don't accept the reincarnation, the concept of reincarnation. They do, it is very interesting that they do accept soul without accepting reincarnation. And we had discussed earlier that Buddhism is a unique, I won't say it's a religion because it doesn't talk about gods per se, but Buddhism accept reincarnation without accepting the soul. So it's a little, we have the different spectrums of religions. But anyway, we'll come to this point about eternal damnation. We discuss the next verse. But here Krishna is basically talking about the destination of these people, those who are envious and mischievous. Now, it is very interesting that Kruran, the word Kruran actually means cruel. Kruran means cruel. But Prabhupada translates this word as mischievous. So actually what Prabhupada is doing here is, he is revealing the heart of Krishna. See, this is interesting to note that although there are, Krishna had talked about these this demoniac people at several places, especially in the 16th chapter, and we can see that Krishna is really upset with these people, the way he is talking about these people. In the next verse is going to be more graphic. 16.20, we'll see that. It's a very graphic description of these demoniac people. But it is significant to note that at no point in time Krishna had said that, Sarvasya Chaham Hridasena Vishto. Basically, I am present in the heart of all living entities. But at no point of time Krishna says that, I leave the heart of these demoniac people. Krishna is always there in the heart of every living entity. The point is, Krishna is like a father. And sometimes the children, I have my own kids, and sometimes they behave, in a very in a way where it makes you really upset. But and as a father, I may sometimes say that, if you do this again, I'm going to throw you out of the house. And exactly that is how Krishna is saying here, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence. So sometimes I also say to my children, I'm going to throw you out of the house. I'll never take you inside my house. I don't want these kind of things in my house. I would say these kind of things. But it is one thing to say something out of anger, or it is other thing is to actually act on it. So Krishna is always there as Paramatma in the heart of every living entity, and he basically guides the soul back to home somehow or the other. At some point of time, Krishna is waiting for the person to turn to that, turn to him. It is said that Krishna is there in the heart of Krishna actually is the person who is most close to us. Now, we may have our own loved ones. We may say that, okay, I love this person, or I love my mother so much, or I love my father so much. But nobody in this material world, not even our parents, and even not even our children, are so close to as close to us as Krishna. Krishna is the closest to us. He's right inside us. He's sitting inside our heart. It's just waiting for us. So it said that Krishna is looking at us, but we are turned away from Krishna. So all we have to do is we have to just turn the other way and just look at Krishna, you know. So Krishna actually at no point of time he leaves the heart of these living entities. You know, these Krishna is equally present in the heart of the demoniac people also. You know, Kamsa was such a envious person. You know, Kansa hated Krishna practically. You know, he wanted to kill Krishna as soon as, you know, he had his whole conspiracies hatched. You know, he wanted to, at the moment Krishna is born, I'm going to go there and I'm going to kill Krishna. And when he was not able to do that, actually he had sent so many assassins. In one way, Krishna's life was so adventurous, right? Even before he was born, you know, there were assassins ready to kill Krishna. And even after he was born, he was just like a little baby, 2 days old, and Kamsa had sent assassin, you know, Putana, to kill Krishna. But Krishna somehow survived, and miracle, not just survive, actually, he later on kills Kamsa also. So actually, these people are so envious of Krishna that they are ready to kill Krishna. And we know that what happened to Putana. You know, we had discussed in one of the class that Putana was given um, the same position as of a nursing mother in the spiritual world, because Krishna, what he does is, you know, he doesn't actually look at the intention. What Krishna did is he looked at the external activity of the person. You know, he looked at, you know, in some way Putana wanted to serve Krishna, she wanted to breastfeed Krishna, so Krishna actually gave the position, you know. And Prabhupada is going to talk about that little later, not exactly about Putana, but Prabhupada will talk about that Krishna is always merciful, even towards the demoniac people. And it's just that how his mercy will manifest for different people. It is, you know, it is in context of how Krishna wants to manifest his mercy. But Krishna is always merciful. So we'll discuss about this. We'll continue discussing this theme in the next verse. But I want to take a pause here and see if there are any questions or comments about what we discussed so far in this verse. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Kruran is Prabhupada translated as mischievous. You said it means cruel.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Where did you get it means cruel from?
Cruel, Prabhu, this cruel word is very common word. We use it in, you know, in Hindi also and Sanskrit also. But if you look up the Sanskrit dictionary, Kruran word, so it may mean mischievous, and we can use both the translations. But generally, the word krura is used for cruel. And Prabhupada, when he's translating, he is actually bringing out, the way I understood is, when Prabhupada is translating, he's bringing out the heart of Krishna. So for Krishna, he is like these people are like mischievous children, you know, and Krishna wants to also, you know, bring them back to him somehow or the other.
Yeah, and Pyari, I've never heard it as actually mischievous. Cruel is a very general, common word in practically every Indian language as cruel. Actually, mischievous is an uncommon translation, very uncommon translation.
Well, like in a dictionary, an English dictionary, it has like the main way that it's used, but then it gives other ways it's used. That, you know, any word, it gives different meanings. So in the Sanskrit, when we look things up, there's got like hundreds of meanings for like one word, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have to see how, I mean, that's why Sanskrit is something that's generally translated by someone who's a self-realized soul, and he understands what how it's really meant. You know, just because you're a scholar doesn't mean you can translate Sanskrit. So Prabhupada, I'm assuming, is giving a different definition. That is a definition of that word, but
Right.
not the one commonly used.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. I 100% agree with you, what you said. I'm sorry, Mata, you were saying something?
No, I was just saying that cruel is such a common word, right? In practically all, cruel is used as cruel in practically all of our languages. So it's very, very commonly used as cruel.
Yeah, I don't know if you touched on perpetually. So that means Krishna never forgives these people. They just eternally.
I had that question too. I was thinking, like, what hope is there for these people if it's perpetually?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in the next verse, Prabhuji. I said that you know, it basically sounds as if eternal damnation, and that eternal damnation is the philosophy of the Abrahamic religions. It is not the philosophy of Sanatan Dharma or even Bhagavad Gita. And we'll talk about that in the next verse, because this theme is going to continue even in the next verse. So I just left it there.
Some of us are a little impatient.
Okay. All right, Prabhuji.
No.
So eternal damnation is...
No,
I'm
no,
sorry,
no.
go ahead.
We'll wait till the next verse. I was
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji, for being patient with me.
not easy.
I know. Okay. Okay, Mataji has posted the meanings in the chat of the word krura. She has taken it from I believe it is from one of the Sanskrit dictionaries. So it's very difficult for me to... So krura, I think the word that is mentioned is wounded, hurt, bloody, raw, cruel, fierce, ferocious, pitiless, harsh, formidable, inauspicious, as opposed to Samya and Akrura set of the first, third, fifth, seventh, ninth, and 11th signs of the zodiac, which are supposed to have a malignant influence, set of planets. Okay. Thank you, Mataji, for giving those meanings from one of the Sanskrit to English dictionaries. Okay. Any other comments or questions before we move on to the next verse?
Who was it who gave the meeting?
Okay, this is Sugopi Mataji. I believe Mataji is the daughter of Srinivas Acharya Prabhu, if I'm not wrong.
Prabhuji, is for this Krura, right? Isn't Gopi paid? Gopi has said to that Akrura's name should be Krura because he is very cruel and harsh. That he has taken away
Right.
Krishna from them.
It's a good example, Mataji.
Remembering that.
All right. Yeah, the gopis, they didn't like Akrura because Akrura, although he was such a saintly person, but he took away Krishna from the gopis. So as Mataji rightly pointed out, the gopis said that or thought that, the name of Akrura should not be Akrura, it should be Krura because it was so cruel to the gopis.
That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
I don't know if they mentioned.
All right, I'm going to, if there are no more, I'm sorry.
I have
Prabhuji,
one
sir.
more question just about the names. Was mischievous listed or not?
In this particular
Mischievous.
Mataji, yeah, when he has shared, it doesn't say mischievous, Prabhuji, but there are other meanings. I'll say wounded, hurt, sore, bloody, raw, cruel, fierce, ferocious, pitiless, harsh, formidable, inauspicious. These are the primary ones that I'm seeing here.
Okay, well, we're looking it up here too, so if we find something, we'll let you know.
So I am thinking that only Krishna sees them as mischievous, Ganapati Govind.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to. So Prabhupada, what he does is he translates. So he is not just translating he's not just giving us a literal translation. He's actually giving out from what is there in the heart of Krishna. So
Krishna,
as Pyari Prabhu rightly mentioned, it's not just that if you are a Sanskrit scholar, you can translate the Bhagavad Gita. It is like, say, suppose there is a sometimes it is said that in the Germans, they are good at medicine. So if suppose there is a very good doctor in Germany who has written a book on medicine in German language, and if suppose I am like an expert, like a scholar in German language, and if I translate that book in English versus a practicing physician translates that book from German to English, which version would you prefer to read? If you read my version, I don't know anything about medicine, and my version may not actually bring out the essence that the other person wanted to say in that. So a person who is actually practicing that medicine as a profession, that person's translation would be much more be valuable for the practicing physicians. So similarly, there could be some Sanskrit scholars who may translate the word, they can give us a literal meaning, And again, which literal meaning they would give, as Pyari Prabhu said, that, actually Sanskrit is like a multivalent language. One word may have 25, 30 different meanings, and which is the actual meaning, it depends on the context. So that context in which the word has been used, it can actually be only translated by a person who is practicing it himself. So Prabhupada is not just a practitioner, he is like the best of his time. He is an acharya. So Prabhupada is not just giving us a literal translation, he is actually translating the full, the heart of, he's revealing what is there in the heart of Krishna. So okay, are there any other comments, questions before we move on to the next verse? Okay, all right, I'm going to share my screen then. Okay, we just recite this verse once and then we'll read the translation and the purport. You can repeat after me. Asurim yonim up. I'm sorry, someone is saying something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you hear me? This is Dev.
I can hear you, yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry, I was speaking on mute. I was just trying to look up and I found that actually in Chaitanya Charitamrit, Madhya Leela 25.40, we have almost the same verse. I mean, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has said it in a different way. And in fact, he has also used the same word, Kruran, which here, the meaning of which is said to be always willing to do harm. So, in fact, it is kind of a different way of saying the same verse. It's signifying the same meaning, which we saw in 16.19 just now.
Okay. All right, Prabhuji. Anything else you would like to add?
No, Prabhuji, just wanted to mention that here, I think in this particular context, Prabhupada wanted to signify Kruran as mischievous, but in that context, almost similar in meaning, but maybe in the way it fits into the word, the way the word fits into the sentence, Prabhupada has translated it there as willing to do harm.
Right.
So eventually that's very near to cruel, as you mentioned.
Right. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for mentioning that. So, all right. So we are reciting 16.20. You can repeat after me. Asurim yonima panna
Asurim yanim apanna
Mudha janmani janmani
Mura janmani janmani
Mam aprapyeva kaunteya
Mama priya vibhakanteya
Tato yante adhamam gatim.
Tavante adhamam gatim.
Translation: attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. Purport: it is known that God is all merciful, but here we find that God is never merciful to the demoniac. It is clearly stated that the demoniac people, life after life, are put into the wombs of similar demons and not achieving the mercy of the Supreme Lord. They go down and down so that at last they achieve bodies like those of cats, dogs, and hogs. It is clearly stated that such demons have practically no chance of receiving the mercy of God at any stage of later life. In the Vedas also it is stated that such persons gradually sink to become dogs and hogs. It may be then argued in this connection that God should not be advertised as all merciful if he is not merciful to such demons. In answer to this question, in the Vedanta Sutra, we find that the Supreme Lord has no hatred for anyone. The placing of the asuras, the demons, in the lowest status of life is simply another feature of his mercy. Sometimes the asuras are killed by the Supreme Lord, but this killing is also good for them. For in Vedic literature, we find that anyone who is killed by the Supreme Lord becomes liberated. These are instances in history of many asuras, Ravan, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, to whom the Lord appeared in various incarnations just to kill them. Therefore, God's mercy is shown to the asuras if they are fortunate enough to be killed by him. I'll read the translation one more time. attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So as we were discussing, Prabhupada also talks about the mercy of Krishna. Krishna is most merciful. He shows his mercy in different ways, in different flavors. Now, how his mercy will manifest, that will depend on our own disposition and Krishna's supreme will. So both are important. There are people who are determined to be demoniac. As Prabhuji just read the meaning. Dev Prabhu, can you repeat the meaning one more time, Prabhuji, that you read for that word akrura, for the word krura?
Always willing to do harm.
Always willing to do harm. Thank you, Prabhuji. So basically what it means is, they are, intentionally, they are, not just ignorant, they are malevolent. They intentionally want to harm others. They intentionally want to act like that. So what happens is, Krishna says that such people glide down towards hellish existence. So ultimately they get those kind of species. It is said that our next body is decided by two things. One is our own desires and the other is our own karma. So the two things actually decide what is the next life that we are going to get. No, we can say that, okay, if at the end of the life you think about Krishna, you can attain the spiritual world, and that is, yes, that is true. But if you have acted malevolently throughout your life, if you have taken shelter of calm and krodha, lust and anger throughout your life, it is very possibly next to impossible that you will be able to think of Krishna at the time of death, unless Krishna himself is there. For example, at the time of Kamsa, when he was being killed, Krishna was himself killing Kamsa, and he was able to see Krishna. He got killed by Krishna, and Prabhupada also mentions that such people can attain the spiritual world, and that is also like a mercy of Krishna. Now, we were talking about that theme about eternal damnation, that these verses kind of give us the hint that Bhagavad Gita or the Sanatan Dharma actually also recommends eternal damnation. Now, is it true? Does anyone have any comments about that? Does Bhagavad Gita talk about eternal damnation in general? I mean, in these verses we see, but what about other places? Does anyone have any comments about that?
I don't think so, but Srila Prabhupada said somewhere that Krishna's devotees are even more merciful than Krishna, and they make every effort to save all of these people.
Yeah, that is true, Mataji. So people may get the mercy of the devotees, if not Krishna himself.
Exactly.
Then some
And
devotee can.
Who sends those devotees?
Krishna. That's true, Prabhuji. That is true. Very true.
But it is said that Krishna's devotees are more merciful than them. Then how is that true?
So we can see how they are true. Krishna is saying that such people, I cast them into hell, and then we see Prabhupada, who has actually come here all the way from India to America, and then he actually picked the lowest people in the society, and he turned them around completely. So, and we see that Prabhupada says that it was the will of my guru that I should come here, and he gives full credit to his own guru. And if you see, actually, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur always gave credit to his own guru, so that way you can trace it back to Krishna. And we can say that it was Krishna's will ultimately that Prabhupada would come here and deliver these people from their from the hellish kind of existence they were into. But talking about Bhagavad Gita itself, there are other verses. Now here Krishna sounds apparently very angry, but Krishna had also spoken other words. The first one that very prominently he says, "Api chet suduracharo." We see that in 9.30, Krishna had said that "Api chet suduracharo." Even if they perform the most abominable activities, if somehow they are fixed in the in devotional service, then they can again be, they will become, we should consider them as saintly. Sadhu resava mantavya. Again, we can say that relates to devotees, not to demoniac people. That is true. And it basically talks about accidental fall down, not like a intentional malevolent activity. That is true. But again, even if a devotee fall down to the lowest existence, and somehow or the other, if he is fixed in his devotional, he can be, he can be again elevated. But there are other verses in Bhagavad Gita. For example, 9.32 is a verse which doesn't talk about accidental fall down. It basically, Krishna says, "Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepis yu papayonayam." Even if a person is born in abominable in a abominable family, papayonaya, in the word that is used is papayoni. And we had discussed this in detail, that many acharyas actually talk about, that Papa Yoni refers to the people who are born outside of Vedic culture. And even if such people, if they take to devotional service, even such people can tepi yantim param gatim, Krishna says. They are the lowest, they are born in the Papa Yoni, and still if they decides to reform themselves, and if they take up devotional service, they can attain the supreme destination. Tepi yantim param gatim. It's not just Brahman liberation. Param gatim, Brahman is not param gatim. It is basically liberation in like a personal liberation. So 9.30, 9.32 are very prominent verses, and there Krishna had said that that opportunity for reformation is always there for a soul. And that is why actually Krishna is present as the super soul inside the heart. As soon as a person like makes a little desire, just I'm done with this, and if just makes a little desire and just make a little effort, then Krishna guides from within. There are other verses also, like for example, the first time when Krishna gives a hint of this is in 4.36. And 4.36 is api ched asi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrittamah sarvam jnana plavneva vrigyanam santrishyasi. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. So there are verses. So the point is, the philosophy in the Bhagavad Gita is not of eternal damnation. Bhagavad Gita does talk about that, if a person wants to reform, and there are ample opportunities that are provided for reformation, and Krishna is himself there. As I mentioned earlier, Krishna never leaves the heart of even the demonic people. He never says that, he said, he had said in 15.15 that he is present as the super soul in the heart of every living entity. And at no point in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that if a person becomes too demoniac, I leave their heart and go away. It's just, it's just too filthy for me to live over there. It doesn't say that. No matter how filthy the heart of the person is, Krishna stays over there, in the hope that at some point this person will turn around. So his mercy is always there. It's just that we have to take the mercy. Sometimes the example of given as the sun, the sunlight is always available. You just have to open the window, or you have to go out in the open, and you will get the sunlight. Similarly, the mercy of Krishna is always available. He's like an equal opportunity employer, sometimes we say, right? So that opportunity is there for everybody. It's just that we should be willing to accept that mercy. When Krishna says in 4.11 that the more you surrender, accordingly I reciprocate. So that reciprocation is always there from Krishna. But we should be willing to accept Krishna's mercy, Krishna's reciprocation. If we are closed, if I just sit inside this room, I close the window and I don't want to go out, and then I expect that the sun is not there, that's not how it's going to work. I have to make an effort. I have to open the windows, and then let the sunlight come in. Similarly, we have to make that effort and let Krishna's mercy come into our heart. And if we do that, then Krishna's mercy will be available to us. So I'll just take a quick pause here and see if there are any comments or questions.
Yeah, I have, I don't know if it's a comment. I think it's a comment about how the devotees are more merciful than the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita 2:29. It's bewildered by the modes of material nature. The ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performance lack of knowledge. And in the purport, Prabhupada, in the second paragraph, men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risk, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. So Krishna basically says, don't approach them, just chant Hare Krishna, just be happy, don't have to deal with them. But the devotees know the purpose of the Lord. Purpose of the Lord is he's the supreme enjoyer, so they want to get more people giving him enjoyment. So they take that risk, even though Krishna advises not to do it. So we sell books, even though Krishna says, no, don't even bother. But we know that's what Krishna really wants.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I just had to try to find that verse, and by Jiva's mercy, I found it.
And Krishna says to surrender first, but his
That's
own
right.
inclination as a devotee doesn't require that. He's considered
Exactly.
more merciful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'll take that off because of.
Thank you, Mate. It's a very nice example that you gave. Also, there is a difference between accidental ignorance and malevolent ignorance. So I could be accidentally ignorant, I just don't know things, and out of just not knowing, I act in certain ways, and most people in this world are accidentally ignorant. They are not malevolently ignorant, but if they just keep in that ignorant mindset, they will, at some time it may happen that they will become malevolently ignorant. So malevolent ignorant means they are intentionally, they want to commit sinful activities, and most people, they don't intentionally do it. It's just that they don't know. And Prabhupada also gives an example that, even if you don't know, if like a child, small child, he doesn't know that if he puts his hand in the fire, his hand will get burned. So, and the fire doesn't say that, okay, oh sorry, I'll not burn your hand. If you didn't know that you were going to put the hand into me, then I'll burn you. So fire is going to burn the hand no matter what. Similarly, even if a person accidentally commits like a sinful activity, the reaction will come. So the point is that, most people in this world, they are influential, and there are other people who influence them. Sometimes, some saintly people can influence them. Sometimes some, ignorant people can influence them. Some malevolently ignorant people. So that is one reason it is important for preaching. It is important to preach. People are influenceable. So we have to influence them by our preaching. If we bring this philosophy, these teachings to them, then there is a good chance that they can become influenced and they can turn towards Krishna. And that is why the importance of book distribution is there. Prabhupada had given so much importance to book distribution, and that is actually the reason. There is a comment here. I'll just read out. In this verse, this is Bhagavad Gita 12:6-7. The Lord speaks about how he personally delivers sincere devotees from the same ocean which he casts the demon perpetually into. That is right. Tesham aham samuddharta. I think that is the verse where Krishna says that aham samuddharta. He personally delivers the devotees. That's the word. Tesham aham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha mai aveshita chetasam. So this is verse number 7. So Krishna actually, to the devotees, he personally comes and he delivers the devotees from mrityu samsara sagarat. So samsara is sometimes considered as the ocean of material existence. So mrityu is basically, it's like this is like a mrityu lok. Death is pretty quick over here, just few years and then that's it, we are done and we have to go to the next body. And bhavami na chirat partha. Na chirat means very quickly. Chirat means delay, but na chirat means there is no delay. Very quickly, I deliver those people from the ocean of birth and death. Thank you, Mataji. That's a good example. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, all right. So I just, if there are no questions, I just want to mention that, Krishna is very accommodative. He accommodates some place or the other, and we see his accommodation in the 12th chapter. Mataji pointed out that chapter also. So Krishna actually gives the different levels of bhakti. Okay, that highest level is that you fix your mind upon me, your mind and intelligence upon me. If you cannot do that, then just try to follow the regulations of bhakti yoga. If you cannot do that, then actually work for me. So like that, Krishna brings the ladder down, and the lowest ladder that he gives is do some activities for the welfare of others. That is the lowest in terms of bhakti yoga and the bhakti ladder. But generally the point is Krishna is very accommodative. And if somehow or the other we don't fit into one of the accommodations given by Krishna, then Krishna also accommodates some people in hell. The hell is also like a mercy from Krishna. This hell is necessary not because Krishna is malevolent and he wants to show the people that this is what is going to happen. It's basically for the reformation of the soul. So we have prison houses, and most of the people don't live in prison. Any country, given country, most of the population doesn't live in the prison. But there are always some malevolent people, and then for them there has to be prison houses. And the intention of prison houses is not to torture those people, but basically to reform them. So the accommodation in hell is also given by Krishna as a part of his mercy, so that these people can ultimately be reformed and they can be elevated and ultimately liberated. So we have to understand that the concept of hell is not to condemn, but it is to elevate. Now sometimes the question is asked that asuras and rakshasas, they have stronger bodies, they have better bodies, and what is the harm? They are considered to be higher than, sometimes they are considered to be higher than the human beings also. We see when the when Ravana gets the boon from Lord Brahma to be almost like invincible. So when he asks for the boon, he doesn't even consider that like a human being can kill me. So he doesn't ask Brahma for that particular boon. He asks for all the different species he mentions, but he doesn't mention about human beings. And that is why Lord Ram comes as human being, and then he kills Ravan. So the point is that asuras are sometimes considered as higher even than the human beings. Now, the higher is basically in terms of their physical prowess. Their bodies may be better suited. They may have more power. They may have more capacity to enjoy. But this asuras are basically in the mode of passion, and that basically comes in 9.12. We see that when Krishna says in 9.11, what is that verse? Avajananti mamudha manushim tanumashitaha param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So he says that people who actually they disregard me when I come in this manushim tanu. Manushim tanu means in a human body. So further, after that verse, he basically talks about what would be the consequence of such an understanding. So he says, Rakshasim asurim chaiva, prakritim mohinim shritaha. Now, Rakshasim and Asurim Prakriti. So Prakriti basically is consisting of the three modes of material nature. So Asuri and Rakshasi Pravritti is basically mode of ignorance and passion. So Asuras and Rakshasas, although their bodies may be better suited for enjoyment, but they are mostly in the mode of passion and ignorance. So basically their intelligence is covered by these two modes. And therefore the inclination for spiritual progress is very less in them. Human beings, although they may not be very powerful, their bodies may not be so much capable of enjoying as much as the asuras and rakshasas can do, but they are relatively more in the mode of goodness, and that is why there is higher chances of making spiritual progress. And that is why later in I believe this also comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, several times actually it comes, that even the devatas at times they want to come into a human body. Even the rakshasas and the asuras, they also want to take human birth, because the point is people who are sincere, they understand that this opportunity of getting liberated is much more in a human body. So although human body may be a little not so much stronger from a material perspective, but the inclination for spiritual, uh, uh, the opportunity for spiritual progress is more for the human beings. And in that sense, we are fortunate that we have this opportunity given to us. We have a human form of life available to us, and more than that, we have these teachings available to us by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So we can take advantage of these teachings, and we can elevate ourselves, and we can also help others as we move forward. So I just stop here. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, all right.
I got a comment. Or
Yes,
question.
Prabhuji, please go ahead.
There you go. But you're talking about how the demigods want to take birth as human beings. Now, my question is where you got that from, and comment is, Srila Prabhupada said something like the demigods are waiting in line, to take birth in this movement. It's because then they just have to spend, this one life, and they can go back home, back to Godhead. That was referring to, the Krishna consciousness movement. So I'm not sure where you got it from. They want to take birth as human beings.
In the Bhagavatam, there are prayers that are there, Prabhuji, where I believe Indra and the other demigods are making these prayers, and then they, does someone remember where that verse is? It's a very, very prominently, I remembered the canto also, somehow I missed out of, I can, otherwise I can find it and I can share it with you later. But in the prayers of the demigods, either they are making the prayers to Krishna when Krishna is still in the womb, I believe, or at some other place to Vishnu when they're making the prayers, they say that even we would like to take birth as a human being on earth. And Prabhupada also writes very elaborately in the purport about this point in the same verse. So I can find it and share it with you later, but if someone remembers, they can share it here.
Yeah, it's fine with me to share it later, but because there's no way you're going to just be able to find some verse in the
Right.
Bhagavatam so quickly.
Exactly. It's there in one of the prayers, Prabhuji, that is for sure. And there are not a lot of places where demigods are doing prayers. I think I should be able to find it pretty quickly. And it is either in the 10th canto or before that, not after 10th canto.
I think there's a lot of places the demigods is
prayers. But not so much. I mean, you can relatively quickly we can find.
Whenever somebody comes, they offer prayers.
Prayers, yeah.
So every incarnation, the demigods are offering prayers practically.
Yeah.
And the
So very, sorry, go ahead, Prabhuji.
I was just saying the Shringadev, they first started with Prahlad. Everyone was too afraid, but then they all offered prayers to Shringadev. And of course, Krishna in the womb, they offered prayers. And,
right. I think it is there when Krishna is still in the womb, but I'm not 100% sure on that, Prabhuji.
Anyway, I just want this to know.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I remember that it was in 7th canto, like it was in Prahlad prayers. I heard that once. I think so. It was 7.2. I'll just check that, Prabhuji. Like I am able to remember that it was in 7th canto. Like
the prayers are done by demigods, Mataji, not by Prahlad Maharaj.
Okay, that it was there in the purport. I think so. Like I read.
Okay.
Prabhupada's purport.
Sure,
okay,
Mataji.
I'll check that. Okay.
Yeah, please share if you find it. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, you had anything else? I know you was talking about Prabhupada mentioned that the demigods want to take birth in this movement.
Yes.
You want to elaborate a little more on that, Prabhuji? I think that's a very good point.
Well, I think we have to see so many of these people. Maybe they're demigods.
I was about to say that.
I just remember this from the very, very early days, and in the early 70s, that Prabhupada had said that, and whether he said it to encourage us or he said it because it's true, I assume it's true, But he did say that. I'd have to find it. I don't remember. But almost everything I heard what Prabhupada said in the early 70s is Prabhupada did say. And not everything is even recorded, but devotees heard him say these things. So unfortunately, we didn't record everything, but fortunately, they did record a lot of what Prabhupada said. Pretty much, I don't know from when they started recording his lectures, but pretty early on, they started recording his lectures. So we have that. Sometimes morning walks they would record, or room conversations. But anyway, apparently he did say that.
And it is so nice, actually. Sometimes I feel that the devotees wouldn't have recorded these things, then we would have no way to know. Prabhupada is the Acharya in our, the most recent Acharya, actually. So, and we don't have the voice and the teachings of any other Acharya recorded so comprehensively as Srila Prabhupada's teachings. His voice is recorded, his bhajans, kirtans, his chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So there is so much.
Video.
Sorry, Prabhuji?
Video too.
Videos, exactly. There is so much available to us by the mercy of these devotees who actually took the pain to do that, actually.
And he took the pain to write all those books.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Practically until he gave up all, even the last drop of his blood to write these books. So much effort. I mean, we find it difficult even to read. So we can imagine how much more Prabhupada would have toiled to actually write those books. Sometimes I do write 1 or 2 articles here and there, and I can tell you how difficult it is to write. But somehow I can't just imagine how Srila Prabhupada had written those volumes and volumes of books, and that too in just the last 10 years of his life. So certainly it is like a monumental task, not humanly possible.
He did it.
Okay, I just want. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Read the books and distribute them.
Absolutely. So before we end, I just want to mention one more thing, which I should have mentioned. So Madhvacharya's teachings, if you see, Madhvacharya writes something very categorical. He actually classifies the living entities into 3 categories. So when he writes his commentaries on these verses, he says there are 3 kinds of souls: Mukti Yogya, Nitya Samsari, and Narak Yogya. So basically, he classifies the 3 modes of material nature when we say Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So he classifies the souls as Mukti Yogya, Nitya Samsari, and Narak Yogya. So he says Mukti Yogya are those souls that who are relatively in the mode of goodness, and they are, they can be liberated. Then Nitya Samsari means there's people who are like mediocre, average, and they will continue in the cycle of the samsar, life after life after life. And he says that actually if somehow or the other they take to some auspicious activities, they can basically, improve their standard of living somehow, like relatively it will be a better standard of living for them. And then he says Narak Yogya. Narak Yogya means that they are eternally condemned. They are meant to live in Narak. Narak is hell, as we know. So now we may think that, okay, this sound like again eternal damnation kind of a philosophy, and then if you really see his teachings later, so Madhvacharya actually he was like he was militantly opposed to Mayavad. Very 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 strong condemnation he had done to Mayavad. So Narak Yogya, actually he puts the Mayavadis into this category, that these Mayavadis, they are Narak Yogya, they are going to go to hell eternally. So we have to sometimes understand that sometimes the Acharya is right to whatever is the prevailing problems in that particular at that particular time, so that Acharya is going to condemn that particular philosophy. So Madhvacharya had most violently, almost not violent in the sense that he was like physically violent, but if you read his words, he was very very strong opponent of Mayavad. So sometimes his teachings might sound like that, but the point was he wanted to instill that, that he wanted to nail it down in the head, that don't be a Mayavadi. He just wanted to somehow nail down that into the head of the people. So still we can see that Mayavad is so prominent even today, even after so much efforts put in by different acharyas. So it's going to not go away so easily.
Prabhuji, can you please explain what is Mayavad? I never got this word.
Okay, okay. We keep discussing that. We are out of time, Prabhuji. So I'll just quickly mention Mayavadis. They say their main
Like
idea
it
is that
kind of thing. I don't want in details because time is short. So
right. So they don't accept the form of the Lord. They say that the form of the Lord is a product of Maya. So they don't accept Krishna and Ram as the supreme reality. They say that the supreme reality is beyond even Krishna and Ram and Vishnu. They say that Brahman is the supreme reality, and Brahman actually, when it comes in the contact of the material mode of goodness, it takes a form and it comes down for some time. And then say, for example, Krishna will come down for some time. He'll perform leelas, and again, once his leelas are complete, then again his form will merge back into Brahman. So this form has no eternal reality. This form is temporary, and again it will go back and merge into Brahman. And the most problematic thing is they said all of us are Brahman, and all of us in that context are God. You are God, I am God, cat is God, dog is God, rat is God, cockroach is God, everybody is God. So in that sense it becomes, and basically everybody is in Maya, and when this curtain of Maya is removed, we'll realize that we are God, and we'll go and merge back into Brahman. So what they say is there is no difference between you and me, you and Krishna, me and Krishna, you and Ram, me and Ram, everything is the same. And that is why you might have heard that philosophy that all gods are same. You can worship any god, you can worship Brahma, Indra, Ganesh, Durga, everything is same. There's no difference. Whatever you want to worship, that is fine. So that is like a Mayavadi philosophy. So that is another way of saying that there is no God. You are God, I am God. Say if I say I am president, you are president. The dog that lives next door, he is also president of USA. So that means it is another way of saying that there is no president in United States of America. So in that sense, it becomes offensive to the Supreme Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mayavadi Krishna Aparadhi. Krishna Aparadhi means they are offenders at the feet of Krishna. So that is the Mayavad philosophy in short, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, so there is, I'm sorry, Prabhuji, you were saying something?
Oh, I'd just like to say some people probably think there is no president in America. But besides that, the Mayavad, I mean, they see Krishna and they see Ram. I mean, they know of them, and this is just Brahman. So they're the only two people who have ever come to realize that they're God. I mean, where are the others? In other words, I'm a Mayavadi, I'm God, but I can't do anything like Krishna or Ram did. So how am I God? What's the meaning of God? Why can they do these things? They're no different than me.
Exactly.
I don't understand. That means that who else had perfected their lives? In the billions and billions of people that have existed since time immemorial, only two people became Brahman realized.
Yeah.
It's like wasting their time. May as well enjoy instead of being so austere and getting nowhere. If they don't be, and it's just so absurd. It's
right.
Just so absurd. You become God. God forgets he's God. And Krishna never forgot. He's killed Putana as a baby. He remembered as a baby that he's God. We're just a little more forgetful. Anyway, it's not a practical philosophy at all. Like Srila Prabhupada at MIT, these students were saying this stuff, and he grabbed one by his collar, his shirt collar, and he says, why don't you wear a cotton swab instead of a cotton shirt if it's all one?
Yeah.
It's not practical. Anyway, I'm sorry, but I interrupted. But
no, you said the right thing too.
Yeah. it's very, very narrow thinking. I can say, based on Pare Prabhuji comments, I can see they think this earth is entire universe, which is really not true. If we go at for Mayavad, if we all are here and all are God, so nothing beyond this earth.
Exactly. And Krishna also condemns their philosophy. In 7.26, Krishna says, Avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyate mam abuddhaya param bhava majananto. I'm missing the last line, but he says,
Ishwaram.
yep, thank you, Prabhuji. So, mam anuttamam anishwaram. So he says that avyaktam vyaktim apannam, those who think that I was impersonal before and now I have assumed this form. Manyate mam, they think that I have assumed this form now and I was impersonal earlier. He says abuddhaya, they have no intelligence. They have no intelligence means they are completely foolish. Earlier, Krishna in the same chapter, he had called the demigod worshippers as alpa medhasa. Alpa medhasa means less intelligent. But these people, Krishna says, abuddhaya. Abuddhaya means they have no intelligence. So Krishna also condemns. And then 14.27, Krishna says, Brahmano hi pratisthaham. I am the foundation of the impersonal Brahman. So Bhagavad Gita is quite clear and very unambiguous about the supreme position of Krishna. And also he says, aham sarvasya prabhava mattaha sarvam pravarta, 10.8, then 7.7 is, what is that, 7.7, I'm missing the verse now, but these are the verses, very, very clear verses where Krishna establishes the supreme position, even
But they're
above
still
Brahman.
considered bona fide, right? I mean, they're still considered bona fide transcendentalists.
So again, we have discussed this in the past, Mataji, and Chakravarti Pad actually explains this. So Chakravarti Pad says that there are two kinds of impersonalists. He explains that in the 9.15th verse. The verse is Jnana yagyena chapyanye idanto mam upasate ekatvena prathaktvena bahudha vishwato mukham. So there Chakravarti Pad explains that there are two kinds of impersonalists, one who are offensive to Krishna and one who are non-offensive to Krishna. So non-offensive to Krishna is, they don't care so much about the personal form. They are just attracted to the impersonal Brahman, and then they want to attain the impersonal Brahman. They don't, care so much about the personal form. On the other hand, Mayavadis, they are envious of Krishna. They will intellectually they want to prove that Krishna's personality is false. It's a product of Maya. So, and then he says that actually only the people who are not offensive to Krishna, they are doing Jnana Yagya. The other category of people, they are not doing Jnana Yagya. So Jnana Yagyena Chapyanye. So Jnana Yagya basically refers to Jnana Yogis, and we know Jnana Yogis are generally impersonalists.
Very good explanation.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Mataji has put here in the comments that verse, Prabhuji, it is 5.19.28. So I'm just reading the translation. We are now living in the heavenly planets, undoubtedly as a result of our having performed ritualistic ceremonies, pious activities and yagyas, and having studied the Vedas. However, our lives here will one day be finished. We pray that at that time, if any merit remains from our pious activities, we may again take birth in Bharatvarsha as human beings, able to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord is so kind that he personally comes to the land of Bharatvarsha and expands the good fortune of its people. Thank you, Mataji. I think this is there's one more verse where I think Indra also prays in a relatively different manner, but theme is the same. Pyari Prabhu, this is 5.19.2.
Yeah, the thing is, they want to enjoy their whole life there before they
Exactly. Yeah.
They're not just wanting to come down now and just move into this movement and finish it all business up all at once. So let me finish enjoying, and then in my next birth, then I'll go there. That's a good place to go. Well, Jiva thinks that they're very duty bound.
Right. Actually, that is true. Yeah, they have been given this service by Krishna, and they are fixed in their service. They want to serve in that way, because ultimately somebody should be able to take care of the universal affairs. They don't want to burden Krishna with the universal affairs. So they, as Sakam Bhaktas, they are Bhaktas, but it is explained they are Sakam Bhaktas. They also have some enjoying mentality. But at the same time, because they are Bhaktas, they have been given a service. And then that service is basically maintaining this prison house. This material world is sometimes referred to as a prison house. The souls who have rebelled against God, they have been put into this material world. So they are like jailers, the jail keepers. There are different departments that are there, and they have to do this dirty work. But ultimately, they are also kind of praying that please send us as a prisoner again, and then ultimately we can be reformed somehow of our enjoying mentality, and then we can also be liberated. Yes.
What about now? Everyone on the heavenly planets is a demigod.
I'm sure you can answer that better. You can please answer it.
I can't answer it. I mean,
my understanding is that there are demigods who take charge of the universal affairs, but there are other people who are there to enjoy. Basically, they may not be taking care of the universal affairs, but they are just there in the as the subject of Indra. Subject of Indra means they have taken birth in the heavenly kingdom, and they are enjoying their lives over there. So they might be serving in some way, like we are also serving here, some employer, and then we are making our, somehow they might be serving in some way, but not everybody is a demigod. They are not all of them are controllers of something.
okay, so they wouldn't be considered. I kind of thought anyone in the heavenly planets was a demigod, but I think what you're saying makes more sense. So they're not demigods, they're just up there, having a good time.
Exactly. There are some references that come in Mahabharata, for example, where there is an example of Pandu that is given, that Pandu was first in the assembly of in the Pitraloka, and then he sends a message in the assembly of Aryama. So then Narad Muni brings this message from Pandu to Yudhishthir after Pandu has departed from the material. I mean, he is there in the Pitraloka. From there, he brings a message to Yudhishthir that he should perform a Rajasuya Yagya, and by the credits of the Rajasuya Yagya, he can rise to the heavenly planets, and he can basically enjoy over there. And that was one reason Yudhishthir wanted to do the Rajasuya Yagya in the first place, although he was a devotee. So because he gets this message from Narad Muni, through Narad Muni from his father. So, and then finally he does perform Rajasuya Yagya, and then Pandu is able to go to the heavenly kingdoms. And it is not described that Pandu is there as some kind of a controller. Also in the section of Mahabharata where what is that? The last Parva, one Parva, I believe, where it is described that after the Pandavas, they all are taken to the heavenly planet. First, Yudhishthir gets a vision of the hell, where he sees that all his brothers are suffering, but later it is revealed that it is just like a mystical vision. They are not actually suffering, and all of them are into then back to the heavens. And there, it's not described that they are given some kind of a post to control something. They're just there, and they have been given a message that they are the eternal associates of the Lord. And whenever the Lord descends the next time, they will go along with the Lord to participate in his leelas. So those kind of references come there, and from there we can draw some inferences that not everybody is a controller in the heavenly kingdom. Some people are there, just there. And then of course Indra is their boss, is the king of the heaven. So
it makes sense, because there are 33 million demigods. That's really not that many for the whole heavenly
exactly
planet.
right.
There's Apsaras, Gandharvas, entertainers. When Arjuna, he was incognito, wasn't he teaching this?
Are you saying something, Jiva? We can't hear you.
That's what I just told her.
I was just thinking when Arjuna, when they were incognito.
Yeah.
He
Vrahanalla, he becomes Vrahanalla.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So he gets a curse in the heavenly kingdom. So that's what you wanted to say, Mataji?
Well, that wasn't he teaching dancing and
Yeah. But he's teaching dancing in the kingdom of Virat, which is on earth.
oh, okay. But didn't go to the heaven.
You went to the heavenly planets again.
Yeah. Right. That is before that. Before he went incognito. Before, right, when they were not incognito at that time, he goes to the heaven to acquire the celestial weapons, and there he gets cursed to become. Yeah, you are right, Mataji. For 1 year he is in. I believe 1 year he is in the heavenly kingdoms. In the heavenly kingdom of Indra.
Urvashi cursed her. The
Urvashi.
Apsara Urvashi cursed
Right,
her.
Urvashi cursed. No, but the point is, Arjuna goes to the heavens. That's right. Yeah. Okay, and I also wanted to mention quickly, we were discussing about the Mayavadis, and Gita Mala Mataji also made a point about the impersonalists. So actually in the Bhagavatam, it is described that the 4 Kumaras were impersonalists before, but later after getting the darshan of Lord Vishnu, they become personalists. And also the speaker of Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami, it is described that he was impersonalist before, but after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he becomes a personalist. So this is like, these are the examples of non-envious impersonalists, not Mayavadis, but Brahmavadis they are called. Brahmavadis means they are impersonalists, but non-envious. Okay, I think we can end here. Any other comments or questions? Prabhu, you want to say something else?
No, I think I said a lot already.
Okay, all right, Prabhuji. So tomorrow we are going to have a class on Srimad Bhagavatam because it is Bhadra Purnima. So Pari Prabhu is going to give us a class on Srimad Bhagavatam.
I'm giving the class.
That's what we discussed.
Really? Oh.
I'm sorry, Prabhu. We discussed it, right? You said you can give the class.
You better go prepare, Pierre.
I don't generally get too prepared anyway. So you send me the verse?
This is Bhagavatam, Prabhuji. Oh, I can send you that verse. That yeah, I'll send you, Prabhuji.
Okay.
And yeah, okay, Prabhuji.
Did Russ call you?
Yes, Prabhuji, I spoke to him. He wants a Bhagavatam set. So
very, very good.
Yeah. And we also discussed, Prabhuji, that we are going to have a little kirtan for people who have sponsored, right? From 6:45 to 7. So maybe we can start from 6:45 tomorrow and do a little kirtan and then go into the class. Is that okay, Prabhuji?
Sounds good to me. I get more mercy.
Got no response from him. Okay. I think we can end here then. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who's that?